right, guys. Welcome to Houses, Hills, and Hoops. Today we have a special guest. It's Coach Harrell. And we have a couple of questions for him to answer for us and to enlighten you guys on everything from a coach's perspective. And I'm going to start off by, hey, you having a mamba. Okay, mamba.
I didn't even. It's just.
He matching our background, right?
Yeah, I see Kobe
Kobe
back
just
there.
happened to be there when we first started recording.
And now you just happen to have on mamba.
Exactly.
It just worked
It's
out
just
that way.
angel. But anyway, so Harrell, how are you today?
I am great.
For
Absolutely. I'm positive. Nothing but sinuses. No
How
corona.
you feel about this NBA and the Corona
And
and March Madness?
I'm not liking March Madness. Just from a basketball fan aspect of it. Like, the fans is what makes
Right.
March Madness.
Mhm.
Not the actual game. I saw a post the other day. Actually, maybe it might have been this morning, where they showed Chris Jenkins when he hit the winning shot, the winning national championship,
remember
and the
that.
fans' reaction.
Mhm.
Like, that's what March Madness
Yeah,
is.
that's right.
So, I mean, I get it from a safety standpoint, but like it was I want to say soccer. But one of those big soccer clubs, they stopped letting fans come in too. And the fans still came. They all chanted outside,
Really?
surrounded the stadium. Now, we're not going to do that. But even still, like, it's just, I mean, I get it, but I don't. Like,
It's to me, it's no basketball without the fans. Basically, they're at practice. That's how I look at it.
Yeah,
that's
that's what
exactly
it
what
is.
it is.
It's
That's
not.
it.
It's just not gonna be the same. But I mean, like you said, safety first. You know.
I mean, I get
And-
it. But are the event employees still going to be there?
They said the
That's-
event and the parents. They said
It's-
the parents.
It affects everything though, because when you think about those arenas, they make money. Like those the concession stands and everything like that. So those people who would normally be able to work during those
Right.
events are not going to be able to
Yeah,
work.
the jobs
Those
are affected.
companies are not going to be able to make money, and then that kind of trickles down, because they're low paying jobs. So that's going to trickle down to everyone else.
If I'm a player, I'm upset. I mean, it is what it is. I get a piece of the revenue. Like, a lot of people don't know that, but the players
They do.
They get a piece of the revenue. So right now, I mean, I'm not getting anything.
Yeah, I feel for the March Madness situation because it's college and these kids really depend on it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think with college, they're not letting anyone in. I don't think they're even letting parents in. I think they've changed
No,
it.
they said parents only, parents and event staff only. That was it.
But what kind of event staff would you really need if
Right.
nobody's in there?
No,
You know what I
yeah.
mean?
And the
Right.
event staff still goes to the grocery store and everywhere
And
else.
everywhere
They
else. So
That's
you
right.
really are
and
not
the parents
controlling
and
it.
the family, so it's still the same thing.
Right.
Mm-hmm. But okay, well, questions for you. How long have you been on the coaching scene, and what was your first age group?
My first age group, actually, I'm kind of backwards. So my first age group actually was high school.
Wow.
I started with my old coach, Levi Franklin, in 1999, 2000, one of those two.
Weren't you a baby then?
I was definitely a
He
baby.
was definitely not.
I was a baby. I was coaching JV for Crossland High School. Did that for about a year and a half, and then I took a job down in Charlotte. So then I left. Matter of fact, it was right when Levi got the job at Paula VI. He was leaving to go to Paula VI, and I went down. I couldn't go with him. I went to Charlotte for my job at the time. Took about maybe 5 years off, maybe 5-6 years off. Came back, and a couple of my buddies were doing AAU, and I decided to coach again, and I started with third or fourth grade.
Oh, okay.
Third or fourth grade, came up with them all the way up until 7th, and then went to 16s, which I do coach 16s now, and outside of also being an assistant coach for high school.
Okay. Did you play when you were?
I did. Doesn't work out the same way for everybody. As you like. My role was a little bit different. Played in high school, then joined the military. When I was in the military, I was blessed to be able to be stationed overseas. And when you're overseas, the base team plays the overseas
Right.
teams.
Mm-hmm.
So I was stationed in Aviano in Italy, and we played played Roveredo, and
You can't go there now.
I can, but I won't. But
Mm.
but played Roveredo in Italy, and after the game, they said they still had a spattle, and I didn't even know this. I was so ignorant to the fact at the time, but you could only have 2 American players.
Really?
Yes, at the time you could only have 2 American players, and the guy that they had, I want to say something happened. I think he got called up. Memory serves correct, but they only had an open slot for an American, and asked me if I was interested, and I was like, sure, not a problem. Then after a while, I went from played with them for a year and a half. And then after that, they have scales. They have A class, which is A1 and 2, B1 and 2, and then C they had C1, 2, 3. And where the team I was on was a C1, but then they had a Pordenone was a B. They're B1 now, but they were B2 then. But they had, which was a little bit more money, and they had a roster spot open, and I went and played with them, and stayed there for 2 years, and then came back.
So we just really got a nice little bio from you. I wouldn't have never even put you in the military, buddy.
I mean,
Not at all.
back then you had 2 choices.
Right.
You know, it's either you go to college or you go to the military.
But it explains a lot about your character.
Yeah, I mean, so.
We can't get enough fist bump.
You
Oh, no,
can-
we doing elbows. We doing
Oh, we
elbows.
doing elbows. But yeah, my aunt, because at the time I only listened to 2 people, which was my aunt and my grandmother. My mother, I love her to death. I listened to her, but I never listened to her. So if she told me to do this, I'm gonna do the exact opposite. But my aunt, she kept staying on me. She's like, "We're not gonna sit around. We're not."
That's
So
right.
She actually drove me to the recruiter, and that's how that happened.
So what high school did you graduate from?
Oxon.
Okay. So I have some questions and want your opinion on, and maybe for you to enlighten the parents like we did from our perspective and our opinions and what we went through. But as far as a coach, maybe give them insight on what you think as a parent they should look forward to with the high school selection process and in preparation.
For me, I think you have to look at it as your child as exactly what it says, a student athlete. So the first thing you want to do is when you're selecting the school, you want as a student, you want to select a school for your kid that's going to help your kid grow into what you want them to be. If you want them to be an Ivy League student, then you need to start looking at schools that prepare you for Ivy League education. And then outside of that, from the athletic standpoint of it, what is going to allow your son to grow? You know, if you have
daughter,
I'm sorry. If you have a team full of guards, then and you're talking young guards at that, kind of doesn't really make sense for me to send my child there. Now, if you're looking at the landscape of things, you see, okay, well, these are juniors and seniors. That gives my son or my daughter time to grow into that position. Then that's something totally different. That's something that you need to look at. But I think a lot of parents don't look at that. A lot of parents just say, okay, well, you know what? I'm gonna look at this name. That name is what carries. It's not all, especially here in this area. I've seen kids go to high level schools from whether it's public school, private school. I've seen some charter schools, so it just doesn't really matter. You just got to look at what's best for your child in that instance. And I think a lot of parents don't do that. I don't think they do their homework, especially when it comes to the educational piece. Some of the schools that I'm seeing kids go to is like, I don't know if, you have a child that has been in let's say a private school setting where they've had 13 kids in their classroom, or 8 kids in their classroom, and you're gonna go to a school that now has 22 to 25. Your child doesn't function that way.
Right.
So, now you're putting him or her at a disadvantage because now they're in a larger classroom setting that they're not used to. So.
Yeah, I kind of spoke on that last.
Yeah, because Rico came from a small setting like that.
10 to 12.
But Marvin came from a public school, a large public school. So I was concerned about him being able to function in the private school environment and how the work would affect him as well. The basketball was secondary to me. If I could have gotten my option, we would have done independent. But because he wasn't having that, we ended up where we ended up. And so but we did focus on the school, not the basketball. Like, is this classroom environment gonna be beneficial for you? And it was for where he chose, and so that's kind of was the leading thing for us. But I know that a lot of parents, the lead is not the classroom.
Right.
The lead is the team, whether it's no matter what the sport is. That's what they lead with, the team. And I think it's really important that parents kind of educate themselves on whatever sport it is, because I know a lot about basketball, right? So it's not hard for me to go in the gym and kind of analyze a team. Like, okay, he only rotating 6, or he's only rotating 7, and how many of those are seniors, juniors?
Right.
You know, I ask those kinds of questions, but some parents just don't know enough about the game to ask those types of questions.
I mean, I feel like when you're, and this just could be me, but I feel like once you get to going to high school, you should already be seasoned at that point, because if you're actually, as you say, paying attention when you go to your kids' games, because most of these kids now are starting off 2nd grade, so you've been watching rotations, different things from 2nd grade all the way up to 8th grade. You should be, when you're looking at and some don't even do this, go to the games of the high schools that they're looking at.
Yeah, we did that. Like,
You know,
that 8th grade year, we went, all of the schools that we were considering going to, we went to their games. Like, I needed to see, but I think a lot of moms are not really that into sports like that, and I think that plays a role in why they don't really know what to do. I would say to parents, if you don't know about sports, whatever sport your child is in, find somebody that you can trust that can kind of break it down. Yeah, that can kind of break it down to you so that you'll know what you're looking at. And you don't know.
I'm still like that irate mom, but it's not.
I mean, I still ask questions.
Irate.
But I mean, because I like fairness, and I don't care whose child, who's on the court. It could be mine. I'm fussing at everybody. It's not
me too.
that I'm singling mine. No, I don't do that. It's just, it's a team sport. So, but as far as my knowledge base, as far as basketball, it's what I learned from you guys, because I really don't know. I'm football.
But the thing about you though is you ask the questions and you listen.
Yeah.
It's a difference when you just think you know, and you're a mom and you don't know anything about basketball. Like, come on, find somebody that you trust, that you can count on,
and just pay attention.
And pay attention. Yeah. Ask questions.
And we did the same thing. We went to before we chose the school, we went to the games, and I can honestly say, last year when we did scout, it was empty. This year,
changed drastically.
Yeah,
that's an understatement. Like, when we came out last year, it was like people there, they were between the ages of 60.
I mean, winning does that though.
But even the school spirit, what do you call the school? The kids.
The boosters.
There you go.
Not boosters. They're not boosters. Boosters is something different.
She's
the pep club.
Yeah.
The pep squad, or whatever
they
call
weren't
it
even
now.
there last year at any of the games he went to. But this year, I mean, they came in. One time they came, it was really so cute. They all had on different types of blazers, and they sat up and they cheered on, and it was just so good to see that they had the school support, because from what I had noticed this year with him being at the school, it was more so the student body would support the football team, but they wouldn't support basketball. But this year they came out and they did both, and that was great.
Well, I mean, one of the things you got to also look at is a lot of the football kids, they actually interact with the student body. So you got 90 some odd kids that's on the football team that actually interacts with the student body. Student body's gonna want to come out and support them. Whereas in basketball, I know for our standpoint, you had 15 guys and maybe 3 interacted with the student body. I don't want to come see that. I don't know none of them. You know, out now, if you're winning, it's totally different. They don't care. They just want to go. Oh, you're going there. We gonna go with you. But now it's like we have more kids that are starting to really interact with the student body. So kids want to come out now and see and support.
And it has to deal with social skills.
It does.
A lot of them don't have.
I mean,
it's the phone.
the phone is the number one
The
tool.
devil.
Right now.
Yeah.
It's the devil.
Social media and that phone is crazy.
The phone is I sat back and I looked and I was having an argument about texting and driving. I can remember a time I used to drive. My phone could have been on the floor. It could have been. I would have known it, but now I know where my phone is all times. It's right here.
Yeah.
So it's not just the kids. It's just now you just like I can feel when my phones aren't around. It's to the point I have to look at them and see that they
Make sure they're there.
They're right there. And we've gone to the watch now, so I can go to my phone on my
That's
watch.
too much.
and-
They don't have that watching.
I mean, it's just as technology evolves, so do we. So
Yeah, but my thing is with the phone is, I guess, because my son wears contacts, and I'm in the IT world. I know what the phone can do to your eyesight. And the majority of the kids, like, they're wearing glasses now. They're wearing contacts, and it's all because of the phone and the computers, but mainly the phone. It's like soon as they get out of school,
And then they're in their room
and it's
in
like,
the dark,
yeah,
and
right.
like that makes it worse.
Growing up,
we
they
had
were
no
like,
backlight.
you need to be 5 steps from the TV. Didn't they?
Yeah.
Like, my grandfather was
You
like
could not
5
stand
steps from the
close to the
TV.
TV.
You cannot be close to the TV. And he wasn't, if they had this, my grandfather wouldn't have it. That shit need to be way over here.
see, my grandparents were a little different. They weren't different, but you know, they thought the microwaves from the TV.
Oh, yeah.
Got moved back, so
Yeah.
you know we couldn't get too close up. Especially if you had the old TV that had the aluminum foil on it. You can't have the foil and the waves get you. So
Right.
we were a little different.
They were like, the microwaves causes cancer.
Yeah, we were definitely a little different.
So, what do you think as far as helping the kids to prepare academically for the testing aspect of the high school?
I'm probably the worst to ask this, only because I'm just not a good test taker. So when kids come to
We talked
me
about that.
and they're like, you know, Coach, the test, it just didn't make sense. I don't really know what to tell them in that aspect because even now, because I'm back in school now, I find myself, I know most of the answers to the questions. It's just the way that they're wording it. That doesn't make sense to me. That's not how that's not how I received it or how I read it. So I often ask, like, hold up, explain this to me. But you in a test environment, you can't do that. You can't be like, explain this to me where that's what this answer is.
Right.
So I mean, a lot of these kids aren't good test takers, and then even outside of that, the pressure. You know, you want to do good.
It's so much pressure
It's
on
a
them
lot.
and their kids. It's like, back up, back off.
I want that high score, and especially if parents really are looking at a specific school and they know that it's competitive to get in. Now you're putting that pressure on your kids. So I got all that, and I'm not a good test taker. Like,
And they're so young. It's just so much stress with them being so young.
And then I still have to do this sport thing.
Right.
And I have to train. And I have to practice.
That's what I was
And
going
have
to get
do all
on.
of this.
What about as far as okay, you have young sons, daughter. You have a daughter, and you have kids.
I have kids.
Okay.
I have a lot of kids.
So I think you have one that may be moving forward to high school.
He just made his high school selection.
Okay.
Yes, so
Okay.
Tell us off camera where that is. No, we want to know.
he just made his high school selection.
That's awesome.
So with him, what are you going to make sure he prepares for this summer before high school actually begins? Is he basketball?
He is basketball.
Okay.
And one of the things with him though is he's so active. Like even now, you know, basketball is his primary sport, and you know he's talked to the coaches and they're giving him the JV schedule and all this stuff that you got to prepare for that's about to come up, and that's in May. And his very next question after he has this conversation is, you know, I've never played baseball in my school.
I want to do something else. Add something
And I'm
else
like,
to
what
the schedule.
are we talking about? He said, I set a goal that at my school I was going to play every sport, and baseball is the only one I haven't done yet. And as a parent, you want to be like, no, we're not doing it. We're going to get, but as a,
But you can't.
the old kid in me
not
says,
do that.
you know what? I'd rather him be doing that
Let him experience
than be sitting around doing something that I don't want him doing, or I know he's not going
Right.
to take the gym very serious yet because he still wants to do that. Go in and let them do it. Let them have fun. Like last fall, maybe it wasn't. Yeah, this fall coming, he did soccer, and I'm like, for what? Like, why are we doing soccer? But he wanted to do soccer, so.
Well, he attends the same school that.
Yes.
Okay, well, there you had to do 2 sports.
Or you could do. You could do a club too. See, I never knew about the club option.
Yeah, after the fact. He didn't want to tell me.
I didn't know about the club option.
Because I was gonna say you need to go to that IT class. Yeah. Nah. So the first time around, he had to pick one, and he was soccer, and he was goalie. He was good. I got pictures. He out there. But the second time around, guess what he picked for the club? Boys think they slip.
What?
Damn movie club.
Movie club? Really?
I was like, but I didn't know until it was too late for him to switch. I said, "Oh, you got me this time." The movie club, for real. Yeah, basically, you in there sleep.
Basically.
Pretty much something to get the time to go by.
Yeah.
But yeah, now mine is always done. He's never done a club. Not that I can remember. But he's always done a sport. Track.
But not baseball.
He's never done baseball. He was supposed to do baseball last year. He was going to get baseball out the way. But one of the teachers there was also a coach. He was like, "No, you're doing track." So he did track. And he did track twice, actually.
Track actually helps with basketball, the basketball and the football.
Rico did track too, but it was more. It helped with his asthma for real.
Yeah, track. I mean, I come from. I never even really paid attention to it as I started talking to my cousins and stuff. I really do come from a track family. Like everybody in my family ran track, except for maybe me and 2 others. We locked in either on football or basketball, but everybody. And just talking to them, how track, like my youngest, he runs track. How track enhances a whole lot of different skill sets. So, now I'm all in on track, but I kind of wish I was the same way back then. You never know. Maybe I could have made it to the Olympics or something.
So now, no. So
I
now,
was fast. I was really fast.
You can hardly walk.
That's now. My body's
catch up with you real fast.
My hips, my knees is something now.
So let me ask you this: since he has chosen his high school and he voiced baseball, will he be able to play basketball and baseball since they're different seasons, or no?
If he wanted to do that in high school, he could. The school he chose is not against him playing other sports.
Oh, okay.
That's good.
And then like we have a lot of guys that play football and basketball, and those two don't mix.
A lot of schools don't allow them to do that.
They don't. They want you to choose one, and then you have some that just say, "Hey, So I like the path that some of the schools take. Some of the path that they say is let your sport dictate what you want to focus on. And what I mean by let your sport dictate, if you're getting maybe 2 or 3 offers for basketball, but you got 35 offers in football, that might be the sport that you might want to concentrate on. Now, if they're equal, like I know a couple of kids where they were equal and they played basketball and football throughout their whole 4 years. So, I mean, but it's to me, it's just tough because when you're like right now, basketball season for high school for the most part is ended unless you have a postseason tournament that hasn't started yet. And I think next weekend, all of those will be done outside of the Geico National Championship. So now is when you're going to start, let your body rest and get ready for May, June, July for when you really rev it up for Summer League, AAU, the live periods, all that. Well, guess what? Football has started lifting in January. So you're already behind the 8 ball lifting for football. So you never really give your body time to fully recover. Baseball is a little bit different because their training is like in the fall. So it's kind of like the same time you're training for basketball. So I think it kind of works. Then you can go into your basketball season and go into your baseball season. I don't think those two. Track is a little bit different because if you do indoor, outdoor. But I've never seen football and basketball really mix, especially if you go by positions. Like if I'm a big kid and I play linebacker, I need to bulk up. So I'm lifting weight after weight after weight. That doesn't really look sexy on a basketball court.
Right.
So I never, and it's funny because those are the kids that generally your pool, football and basketball
Yeah.
players. You rarely get a basketball, baseball, or football. I know we had one kid last year. Last year we had a kid that was baseball and basketball. Kid can shoot the lights out of basketball, but he's probably a major league prospect. And he said, "You know what, Coach? I'm gonna focus on baseball." Totally get it. So, you know, I don't. If he says, "Hey, I'm actually pretty good in baseball," and that's something he wants to keep going with, go ahead.
But the kid can say they're pretty good.
They need to be able to
No,
say that without the parents acting crazy, right?
That's true, but you know, a lot of parents live through their kids, so
Yeah,
But sometimes the parent has to interject because the child might think they're good at that sport, but they.
Well, the parent might think they're good at their sport and they're not. So that happens too.
We get that a lot.
A lot. You know.
We get that a lot.
parental eyes and
I don't think I
too.
had parental eyes.
No,
I think I'm harder on my kid than anybody.
You are extremely hard on your kid
because I know what he can do. If I don't see that, that's a problem, especially with me driving over an hour to get him where he needs to go. Like I really have a problem with that if you're not giving it everything that you have.
Earn her gas.
So
These are conversations that we have in our
tire.
household.
I had a flat tire the other day. I had to make sure I get it fixed so I could get him to somewhere.
She remembers when I actually wrote down what I've spent over these last years and made him look at that. And I was like, look at that bottom number. Your ass is getting on that court. So
yeah,
I get it.
I can't even, just from a coaching standpoint, because I coached mine up until 6th grade.
How was that?
You can never win. Like you can never win. It's just no. Even when like I find myself doing two things because at the end of the day you're still a parent. So you still want the best for your kid, but then you're also still a coach. You want the best for your team, and to find like I was overcompensating one way or the other. Either I was way more too coach and I probably should have put him back in the game, but I didn't. Or I was way too much parent. I was like, nah, you're going to go out and swim and we're going to figure it out. Trying to find out, anybody that tells you that they can find that perfect balance, they're lying. There's no way as a dad and as a coach that you find the perfect balance, because at the end of the day, you're going to be one over the other a little bit more. For me, I just find it's so much easier to coach him in the stands or after the game than it is during the game.
Right. So when Marvin started playing basketball, I think our not the first team, the first AAU team that we played for, it was a dad coaching his son. And so after that experience, my rule was if the dad has a kid on it, if the coach has a kid on the team, we're not playing for that team. So that's kind of been my rule since that time.
I've always experienced that in football.
I will say about Harrell though, like because we've been around each other for quite a while, I will say that I've never ever felt like that about you. Like I've never been to a game and said, why is he keeping him in? He only doing that because that's his son. Like I've never felt that
Harrell
about you.
Definitely is neutral.
Yeah.
That's what I liked about. I didn't like you in the beginning, but that's because we used to play y'all all the time. Until this day, you still try. We used to beat y'all, but anyway.
Man, I don't remember that.
Okay, I have videos. I still have them. They're sitting in the cloud.
I do remember your coach being really upset at me at Oxon Hill because, you know,
that was the one time.
He came in talking all this nonsense, and I was like, well, wait a minute. They think we haven't been working in the gym?
Well, it may have been a situation at the time.
May have been a little
I
situation.
was like, okay. And then he walked out of the gym, and he didn't even want to shake my hand or nothing.
That was the one time y'all beat us.
No, we beat y'all pretty bad, though. Like,
No.
It was pretty bad.
Would you tell him?
I don't know.
It was
whatever. All right.
It was pretty.
Okay, one time.
But
every time we came to Oxon Hill, we beat y'all.
Back then, y'all had like city kids, and y'all had kids that just was tougher. I didn't have that.
We had no city kids on our team. Maybe one.
We had.
Y'all had y'all.
Quell.
No, they're not city kids. Those are suburban kids.
No, not them two. They came straight from Southeast football.
Y'all ain't had
That was
no
the thing back
quote
then.
unquote light skinned kids. Y'all had none of those.
We did so.
Y'all had none of those.
I'm trying to think. We had
I don't
Ja.
remember.
Ja hadn't grown into Ja was smacking.
He's huge
shit out of
now.
somebody. He's huge. He dunking left and right. Rico had showed me his Instagram.
Yeah,
was like,
I
look at
saw
him.
what his mom posted the other day.
Yeah,
I'm
y'all were
proud
just
of him.
that's like a team in Baltimore.
Mm-hmm.
They no. I don't want to say talent because they do have some very, very talented players.
Mm-hmm.
However, at that was younger age group, it's not about talent with them.
Right.
It's about this thing
Hard,
right here,
yeah.
Mhm.
and they just play extra hard.
Yeah.
You guys play extra hard, and I was like, you know what? Let me coach this a different way. It's a way to, and that's how I beat y'all. And then y'all couldn't beat me no more after that.
Whatever.
Bye.
Anyway.
We all left. The
Yeah, we
team
did
was
all leave at
had,
the same time.
yeah,
It
fought
was a
for
mass
minute.
exodus.
I caused that.
No, you didn't.
Boy,
That was me.
No, you didn't.
Broke it apart. They was like, if we're losing to them now.
No, that
Let's
was
just do
not
it
what
away with the
happened.
team.
Nah,
Not at all.
No, we had to make some changes.
I still got pictures of, and it wasn't y'all that game, it was somebody else. But I do film study with the kids then. I used to bring them all in the staff in this little hat room in the back, sit down, bring out the TV, do film study.
Are y'all doing that now?
We didn't do it as much as I would have liked this year.
Mm-hmm.
We started to do it a little bit more later on in the season. And one of the things that to me, I just think film never lies.
Mm-hmm.
So I can tell you the 13 things I saw you do wrong in the game, and you gonna sit back and say, I didn't do that.
Right.
You
But
made
it's
up
right
in your
there.
mind what happened.
Mm-hmm.
But the film, it shows the 13
Everything.
things I saw and 5 other things I
That
didn't
didn't
see
see.
because I was
Right.
talking with somebody else
Right.
during that time period.
Right.
So, I mean, I think I know that's one of the things that's going to be incorporated a lot more
It needs to be
next
because-
year, especially with the schedule.
It should be.
and-
With the schedule, our schedule, like some days we practice early, and when we practice early, you can have film late, or when you
Mhm.
practice late, you can have film early.
Mm-hmm.
But I get it, you know, you want to balance the homework aspect
I
of it,
was
so
gonna
you try to
say,
let the
yeah.
kids do the homework. But I'm noticing now a lot of them going to Chick-fil-A and Subway and talking out in the hallways to their little girlfriends.
Socializing.
They're not even using
But
that
I
time.
think, that's where the coaching, parenting comes in. You all as coaches need to snatch them up because they need to utilize that time wisely. And it's not sitting in the hallway talking to some little girl. Do your homework because you ain't getting home till 9, 10 o'clock at night.
Right.
I agree. And, you know, for our case, we only had 2 coaches that were actually in the building.
Mm.
So, and one of them was a JV coach. So if we're not practicing, 9 times out of 10 he's practicing. So he can't. So now you're just talking about the head coach who's
Trying
got
to
other-
police all these
yeah,
kids
and
a job.
And let's
Yeah.
not forget, he still has to do his lesson plan and
Right.
everything else.
Right.
So, but I think this year will be a little bit different because we're supposed to bring someone else on staff that's actually in the building. So now
I
we
think
have 3.
sometimes y'all need an actual woman on staff.
I think that all organizations
I
need a
do.
woman. I'm so sorry
I
because
do.
I'm a
some
little
stuff
old
that
fashioned.
I've witnessed,
No,
I'm
it's
like, no, a
certain-
woman would have been able to
Mhm.
tell you,
It's-
don't do that like
There's certain
that.
things we can nip in the bud that y'all
That can be avoided.
Yeah.
Here's my thing. Will the kids listen?
Oh, they used to listen to.
Well, I'm
Yeah.
not even talking about talking directly to the kid point of view. I'm talking about an operational point of view. For instance, we go to this AAU tryout, right? And they got numbers for the kids.
Mm-hmm.
They're using tape to put numbers
Take by the fall off. Right?
on the back of
Exactly.
kids that's
But-
about to be sweating like
so
crazy.
what you think we would have done?
So what do you think a woman would have done before
Yeah.
the tryout started?
But you know, y'all overthink it though.
No.
Y'all-
because
Y'all might
They
have
would
ordered.
not have lost their number.
Y'all might have
off
ordered
their shirt,
13,000 practice jerseys with no.
may,
No.
Just so
or we
you
just
could-
would have had some safety pins,
or we
and
would have
that-
just went
it would
to
have
the
been
store and
done.
got safety pins, and the numbers would have stayed, and
Yeah.
then you wouldn't have had to
And that's
figure out who
something
was
minor. It's
who
just
lost their
showing
number.
that we
We think of things
Yeah.
that
You
and
do
we
think
can be
I,
very helpful.
you do think out of the box. I'm not even going to act like women do not think out of the box. And you do think of things that a man generally is not. Their mindset isn't thinking in that aspect. I'm
That's
not-
why it takes both to really
I get it. I mean,
to make it work.
I just don't. I don't know. I don't want to say I don't see how that helps on a high school stage. I think it does help, especially from an operational standpoint.
I don't want to coach anybody's kids. I'm gonna tell you that right now because my mouth is a little.
Oh well, see, she's from already. I'm
I'm just thinking. I'm
because
thinking operation.
they're going to listen, and if they don't listen, then guess what?
That's when you go into mama mode, and that just turned.
Exactly.
Now I just lost the kid.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Hey,
I just lost the
No,
kid.
because we're gonna call their mama. That's
I
what
just
we
lost.
gonna do.
I'm not talking about losing him, leaving the school. I'm talking about for that game, he's not coming
Checked
back.
out.
I've lost
all the
that
way
kid.
out.
Well, that's
Yeah.
on him. If he
No,
want to check out,
I don't
no.
agree with that.
No,
I don't agree
do
with
because
that.
I'm cussing all of them out.
I'm not trying to coach. I'm not trying to do that. I'm just thinking
It's
like
not
an
about
operational,
coaching.
so that y'all can focus on
They
the
know right from
coaching.
wrong.
Let somebody handle the other
Right.
stuff.
Like I have everybody at the lunch table. Where your books? Where your books? Where your books?
Now, I
Don't
do,
look at her.
Where your books?
I do think we need someone that is geared towards making sure the kids are doing what they're supposed to be doing during their downtime. I definitely think, and to me, I think that's definitely better suited for a woman than it is a man. Because I know me, after a while, you're gonna start getting on my nerves, and I'm go and do what you want to do. Right?
That's what I'm saying. It just takes both.
So
girls.
do you have at your school? Do you have an academic advisor that's specific to your players,
I think
or
it's a male.
is it just a general person
No.
that handles a bunch of kids?
No, we do.
Okay.
And she's correct. It is a male.
Okay.
But
We're not saying that you
No, we're not
anything
saying
wrong.
that
It's
they're not
just that,
capable. We're just
yeah.
I will say this.
Y'all need us.
From an academic standpoint, my tenure there, we've only had one kid become during the season ineligible.
Okay.
And that one kid that became ineligible, I think it was more so an assignment that wasn't turned in. Like it was due to one
well, that
class.
was good.
Okay.
It wasn't due to like, all right, this kid's just off. It was just due to one class in that aspect. Outside of that, I don't think, most of our kids are like 3.8s, 3.5s, 3.3, maybe a
So they
2.7.
focus. They focus on
Yeah,
both.
they know how to distinguish between the two. And I've actually had some kids be like, hey, I gotta miss a Saturday practice because I gotta lock in and focus.
Yeah.
So, that's cool,
When preparing for a game, what do you guys put in place as far as stretching, or do y'all do that with them, or are you only on the ball? Do you have like a physical trainer that actually does the stretching of the players?
Our trainers do not stretch them. They're mostly with our trainers. They're mostly getting treatment prior to. But the kids do. If we're on the road, they go into like the little hallway area and they'll stretch in the hallway area. If we're at home, they'll go into the auxiliary gym. They'll do it in the auxiliary gym. But they do stretch out. They get loose beforehand, and then one of the things that I want to put in place for next year is just like a structured shoot around. Also, it's kind of tough being as though a lot of the schools now have like a wrestling room and all this other stuff, whereas we don't have that yet. So wrestling is in our auxiliary gym until I think like 5:30, somewhere around there.
So
Unless
it
they
takes
have a
away
tournament.
from the time.
So it takes away the time that you
Right.
can have a shoot around. Because you want them to be in the locker room, focused, locked in, and no later than the end of the second quarter of the JV game.
Right.
So and then if you need treatment or any of that, you want that done before then too.
Okay.
But that's one of the things that I want to put in place, because like when you go to college and you actually go through a shoot around, you like, man, what is this? Like, and that's the one thing that I don't think that we are doing to prepare them for college. I think everything else we are. When you come to the academic piece and managing that and studies and the game piece of it and the strategy, I think all of that gets them prepared. But like the preparation beforehand, a lot of these kids are sitting in the stands with their headphones on, and then they go in the locker room and play around.
Right.
Yeah.
You're not doing that in college. It's not even close. Like you have a structured shoot around where you're getting up shots. Even, and I hate to put it this way, but even like the guys that really don't play that much, those guys in college, they're passing the other guys that play the ball. We don't have that.
Right.
I know I'm not playing tonight, but you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna get up these 15 shots and the work. I think it's just a different mindset, and I think us as coaches, you know, we don't focus on those little small details that kind of make you better. You know,
Do you think that comes from coaches not knowing, or just they're just not doing it?
I think it comes from a little bit of both. I think some coaches just don't know. I won't say not knowing, because coaches do know what is being done in college.
Okay.
They do. But I think a lot of it also comes from just like, you know, I deal with so much throughout, from dealing with parents, dealing with administration, dealing with not boosters, alumni. You
Boosters
know,
too.
those. And then I gotta also deal with the players. Like it's so much. So I think coaches also, and then not to mention, I gotta prepare for this game too. Like I gotta go through. Like we as coaches, we go through our scout. We talk about different things, different matchups. So when we're preparing that aspect, it's like we're doing all this, but you know, I think it's like something gets left. You know, one thing I don't think we do a good job of is structuring coaching responsibilities.
I was gonna say responsibility.
You know, all right, you got the scout. We're gonna go through, even if we all go through it collectively.
At the same time you're playing.
Yeah, let's go all through it collectively. Okay, this is the time period we do that. You got shoot around. You make sure he's with a trainer or whatever the case may be. Team meals, like you know, our head coach does a lot.
I like the way they, as far as the team meals for games, I like the way they put that together.
Yeah, he does a protein. Make sure it's a protein, starch. Like he does all.
But it kind of like he made the parents engage, and I like that. I think that.
Yeah, but if you look at it, that's him.
Yeah.
So like, he also has to go coach the game, and as I said, he's a science teacher, so he also has to do his lesson plan and not let them have tests that day. I got to grade, because in your mind you say it's better if I grade these tests now than wait till later. And then the one thing that I think a lot of parents take out is we have families also.
Yeah.
So we still got to budget and manage that. Like I have a 9-year-old. My head coach has a 9-year-old. You know, so. We don't want them to miss out on certain things, you know. So I mean, it's a lot.
That's why I think it's good that when you have a coaching staff, everybody comes from a different walk of life and can give their own opinions. Because with you, to me, you have a lot of patience, a lot, because there's no way I could even compare it to you. But you do. You have a lot of patience. You know how to talk to the kids, and you know which kid you need to talk to in this way or in that way.
Right.
Whereas a lot of other coaches may not be able to turn it on, turn it off. You can turn it on, turn it off. But I think even from the head coach, if he doesn't want to, or in his eyes it's going to cause a little conflict or confusion, he has you or another staff member to reach out the way that he really wants to reach out. But that's what you're there for, you know. And then you may can lean on him to reach out to another player who might be a little sensitive, whatever. I look at that, and I like that about the staff.
Yeah, our staff is very diverse in that aspect. And then none of us are the same, like as you said.
But then you look at some schools where the head coach is all about what I say.
It's what I say, and that's it.
That's it. And that is like, to me.
That happens a lot.
And it's not good to me, the player, because they start to pick up those habits. And that's selfish to me. And then the next thing you know, they're playing selfish.
You got a whole selfish thing.
Yeah, that was one of the things that I looked at when I was looking at schools, how the coaching staff interacts. What do you expect of me?
Right.
And do I have a voice? You know, at the end of the day, you know, I'm just not going. I didn't choose a career or profession where I have no voice. And I'm not going to coach where I have no voice.
Right.
It doesn't work that way. I was never raised to just sit back and
and take it.
We don't, you know, now we can disagree. I can tell you what I see and you can say no and you go with what you see.
We can agree to disagree.
I'm cool with that, you know, but at the end of that, if somebody was proven right, then the other person needs to be big enough to be like,
hey, you know
what?
Right.
And it's been on both sides of the fence.
Right.
I was like, I didn't think that was going to work, but good call. That was a good move. And he's the same way. You know, I just, a lot of people can't, well, I'm not even gonna say coaches, people. A lot of people cannot take themselves out of a situation.
Right.
And with us, we I think we do a good job of being able to take ourselves out of it. We beat ourselves up a lot.
Mm-hmm.
We definitely beat ourselves up, but I think we can take ourselves out of it.
But again, that plays a major role in the player, because then they're taught that I do have a voice. I can, as long as it's done in a respectful manner,
Mm-hmm.
I can approach my coach and actually talk to him and tell him how I feel, and then see what goes on. Whereas some of them,
They don't want to hear it.
They don't want to hear it. So
Mhm.
the players just don't even interact with the coach at all, other than on the court for practice and games, and
Mhm.
that's it.
And that's it.
But because it's like they, even with the AAU teams, majority of them are in that family setting. But when they get to high school, are they going to still be in that family setting when they can actually talk to their coaches? And a lot of them can't.
Well, with me, I have all my players in a group chat. Like we have so many different group chats. We got the head coaches group chat. I mean, not the head, but we got the coaches group chat. We got the coaches with the players group chat. We got the assistants group chat.
See, that's good.
Then I have my own personal group chat with all the kids,
Mhm.
and then I have personal chat. Like I communicate with my kids throughout. Like I look at it this way: you're as a parent, especially when I'm recruiting, you're entrusting your kid with me for 4 years.
Mhm.
For those 4 years aren't all right from October to March. No, those 4 years are 4 years.
January to December.
So I need to know what's going on. Like I've been texting my kids, what are you doing AAU wise?
Mhm.
How things been going? How we been looking? Don't go in here like this, go in like that. Like treat it like that's how what's going on school wise. Or if I catch you in the hallway, who was that little girl you was talking to?
Mhm.
Like we had those type of conversations.
That's good, because that's that father figure too that that majority of the boys are getting, who don't have their fathers in their lives, but it's still the father figure all the way around for those that do have their father, because the father is not able to interact with them during those core hours of school, but you are, you know. So
and then I think they trust Harrell. Like I don't trust that many people when it comes to this coaching thing, and I don't. But I trust him, and so I think that he creates that environment for them to be able to come and say this, that, or the other. And I
like
think that's
he just
important.
said that he didn't listen to his mom.
Right.
So that clearly.
Oh, I know that Marvin doesn't listen to me, so I call somebody and I say, I need you to say this, or I need you to say that. Like that's how I do that.
So just speaking on that, you didn't listen to your mom, so that's good for us as parents to have in place a coach that they ain't listening to us. But
it was wild. Is she's probably the first person I call now. So. I mean, eventually, it's just a full circle. It circles back.
Yeah, because you're older, much more mature, and you actually see like
your mom.
That's the first person I called now.
You know how we always say, you want to see, you don't want to listen, you want to see, and then
they see
it surfaces.
It definitely does. But a lot of the kids do that though. Like they'll come to me, even if it's something that's not back with. Most of them come to me about stuff that's not basketball.
Right. Like, you just told me too much.
Yeah.
I know you be like that a lot.
It's like, all right, well, okay. We're going to have this conversation. Let's have it.
Right.
But I do, that's one of the things I am most proud of, because for them to feel comfortable enough to share that with me, you know, that means they really, really do trust me.
Yeah. Because more than likely the parent doesn't know.
And and that's why I'm always staring them too. It's like, you talk to me, you gotta have a conversation with your mother.
Right.
You gotta have a conversation with your dad. Like you can't just keep that stuff in. And that's kind of like the hard part, the bridge. Because I mean, I have I'm looking at all the kids that I've coached over the years, and I still talk to just about every last one of them. From when I say years ago, like my first class in 90, I want to say it was 99. I still talk, and they're adults.
I was saying, yeah, they're grown.
Like they're adults. It makes me like they got families, and it kind of makes me feel a little old. But
you are.
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
I'm still young, but I keep in touch with all of them. So it's just wild.
No, again, that just tells you the type of person that you are as a man, individual, and as a coach.
But if you look at it, my high school coach, when he wasn't even my high school coach, he was my AAU coach. I still talk to him. So it's the same thing that was given to me. The same thing that was given me, I'm giving it to these kids. I still talk to both of them, you know. what was instilled in me. I'm hoping what I'm doing with the kids is instilling in them what they're going to do if they decide to coach or if they build those mentorships as well.
Do you guys did you want to ask something? I had one.
No, go ahead. Because we got to wrap it up. So you go ahead.
I just wanted to ask about, as the coaches, do you guys talk to them as far as social media and what they should post, what they shouldn't post, and how they should behave and things of that sort? Because you know that is like
we do.
The devil.
It can end you.
Yes, it
like
do.
Social media can end them.
And I don't think the kids really understood the magnitude of it until I had a college coach. And it wasn't even one of my kids. I had a college coach that reached out to me about a kid in the area that he was looking at and asked me had I seen him. And I told him what I knew about the kid. And then I want to say maybe a week or two later, I asked, like, what happened with the kid? He said, man, I'm not recruiting that kid. And then sent me a screenshot in social media.
Wow.
So I shared just the I'm not recruiting that kid, and then just the social media glimpse with my kids. Like, if you don't think that it's real,
right,
I'm showing it to you right now. And I think that kind of changed. Like, I've looked at our kids' social media. It's not, I don't want to say it's bad. I haven't seen anything. They still say some questionable stuff. They're kids, but it's nothing that I don't think that'll get them not recruited.
Okay.
But that's one of the things that I stress. I stress social media to the kids, and I stress to the parents their language in the stands, like how they carry themselves in the stands, because you never know who's sitting there watching.
Right.
So it's
sit up there. No,
but even still, like, if you notice, you're quiet.
I was good.
Yeah, you're quiet. Like, you'll voice your stuff after the fact.
Yeah.
But I've had some coaches be like, Coach, I love the kid. I'm not dealing with that.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I have nothing to come back with because I get it. And then, you have some kids that social media tells a story about them that's not really them.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is the story that you're putting out there.
This is the image.
Nobody's going to take the time to get to know who you really are.
Right.
So, as a parent, you don't want to paint the picture of you in this aspect. And as a kid, it's the same way.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to kill any opportunity.
Right.
But that's the other thing.
You never know who's in the gym.
And the coaches
parents' social media.
They talk. They all talk.
The parents' social media too.
That too.
They look at all
parents,
of that.
Parents, I wish, I think with Facebook is a little bit different. Because I don't know if I take it back. You can screenshot and shit. Never mind.
Yeah.
I was about to say that's a little bit more. I was gonna say that's a little bit more private. But you got now people are screenshotting.
Nothing's private. Nothing online is private.
But it used to be, a parent could vent in a respectable way on Facebook or whatever it was, and take nothing of it. But now the shots that they're throwing at coaches.
Now sometimes, in my defense. I'm talking about something that don't have anything to do with basketball, but it's always taken as this is about basketball, when I could, at that point in what I'm going through, could care less about a basketball anything, but it's about basketball.
But see, at least with yours are assumptions. With a lot of the ones that I'm saying, there's no assumption there. They got they got the name, they got the school, the grade.
Oh yeah,
I've seen that before too.
Like, I'm like, I just saw a social media post of a parent literally going, he said any and everything he could say about an organization's director.
Oh, wow.
Like, what do you, now granted, your kid's younger, but it's not that long before he's coming to high school. You think people don't?
They're gonna remember that.
If I saw it, I'll never forget that. But if I saw it, you think someone else didn't see it? Like, it's just, and I get it. We all get frustrated. But
social media is not the place.
This year, I was frustrated. I was frustrated with my kid's coach. Ask him if he ever knew I was frustrated. Never had one word with him. Never said nothing. Because at the end of the day, I'm a coach. Right or wrong, you felt you was doing what was best for the team. I'll take that. I disagree with you, but I'm not going to put myself in the light to ruin his chances because of something that I said. Like, just we're not doing that.
But from the social media aspect, these kids don't realize, like with Snapchat. I don't even have Snapchat none. But they're like, oh, it disappears. No, it doesn't. Because
everything is
one thing they don't realize.
Screenshot, you can screen record, like you can do anything to get information.
Everything. But the other thing is they don't realize that these coaches and these Ivy League colleges,
all colleges,
they have
employers
someone in place that can manipulate. And it's allowed. They can manipulate a Snapchat and find everything.
They hire people.
They're hiring
people to do that.
So you're thinking, oh, it's erased. No, it's not. And the next thing you know, 10 years from now, matter of fact, who was that won the Heisman football? Was it? I don't remember who it was. But when they came back and he had something on social media that he had said to his best friend when they were 14.
Mm-hmm.
But now that he's won this trophy, then you bringing this back up. See, but then he thought,
it was all over and done.
It's still there. So whatever done online will always be on.
Look, if you look at like Kevin Hart, he said something about what was that? I want to say like 15 years ago. Or something. And now it just resurfaced. And social media and all that wasn't as big as it is now.
Right.
So if you can go back and you can pull that from 15 years ago, it's not. It takes me 2 seconds to pull what you tweeted 2 days ago.
Yeah.
So I mean, I definitely, my kids know the magnitude of it. They know how to, what to say, what's not acceptable. I mean, they're still kids, so I expect it. And coaches know that they're still kids. They expect them to do some dumb stuff, but it can't be over the top. Like, I've told all the kids, the schools that you want to go to, look at the tuition costs. Multiply that by 4. Am I really going to invest that in you?
Exactly.
And your character is being in question.
Right.
If I want you, I don't want to have any flaws if I'm going to invest that in you. Now, I don't care if you're a pro or not, but even if you're a pro, I got to invest that for 1 year and then whatever I'm paying the training staff and everything else to get you to the level that you're going to be. Am I going to really risk that? And then, like, people don't understand my mortgage. when I'm in college, my mortgage is tied to my job. I'm not about, I got to provide for my family. I'm not risking none of that.
Not even just high school, too.
Well, with them, at least they're teachers, So, I mean, yes, let's not get it twisted.
There's some high school coaches that make a whole lot of money.
There are some that make a lot of money.
I'm like, love public. So, even with public school, you can still get to, everybody should know that. A lot of the NBA players came from public, so it's not just based around these private.
Yeah, I don't know about
that. I don't know about a lot, but
I just think we both. I always like both. Like,
I think we've gone away from public. I don't know why not. I don't know. I know we have. I know how we have, but it doesn't mean it stays that way. It goes in cycle. I can remember guys like Mike Sweetney and all Lamar Butler, guys that played public and went to one of these high-level schools, making an NBA. That doesn't change. Everybody's road's different.
I don't think everybody has to go to a private school just with that talent. I think you should just go where you feel fit.
I think,
and
I'm hoping.
Still give it 100%.
I'm hoping. I don't want to say I think, but I'm hoping the reason why is because a lot of our counties and governments and school boards don't invest in the public school system the way that private is right now.
We could really go into that, but I'm not even going to do it on
we're
the
not
air
going to do that today.
I'm hoping
could really
once it goes, I've started to see a trend going positively. Like beforehand, I was pro charter school. I'm not sending my son there. Ask me where my son is. He's at a charter school. I'm not paying for him to go to a private school. He can go to that charter school, get that same education, and you're invested in my kid. So for me, I mean, I have no problem. I graduated from a public school.
Me too.
So I have no problem with it. But I just need to make sure you're going to invest in my kid. Because if you're not, I'm going to take my money and I'm going to invest in my kid at that private school. I think that's just where things have gone. If you take the basketball, I mean, I know some people don't want to, but take the basketball out of it.
Right.
Like I said beforehand, when you're looking at a school, look at the student first.
Yeah.
So if you're going to invest in my kid academically, same way that I would with my dollars, I'm cool with you. you know, and then I'll move on to the athletic piece of it. So I think that's where the private and public.
My thing is, I think that all, especially boys, need the best of both worlds. So that's my thing. That's my take on it. Like, yeah, you can get that here, but you need to get some heart over here, and it shows. It shows a lot on the court. Don't even.
You can get some.
Go there.
You can get some heart in the private schools too.
A little bit.
I think so.
You can get some.
Or from me just cussing you out.
I mean, yeah, you definitely can get it from home. I mean, definite, but I can see a difference. I can see a difference.
I mean,
That's just me.
I can argue both ways. I mean,
She's pro public school.
I know she's pro public, and it's not a
public.
it's not a problem.
I'm a product of a public school.
I am too, but damn.
I want to save some of our public schools, so
that's my whole thing. It's like I can't really give my opinion because it's going to turn this somewhere else. I just think, don't push them aside because the talent is there too.
Yeah, it's definitely talent.
And not only basketball, you got basketball, football, you got everything. It's all there. It's just pulling it out of those kids and setting aside the school that they go to.
Well, I will say this: talking to the college coaches that I talk to, they don't care if you go public or private.
And that's good.
If you're talented,
then
they're going to recruit you.
It's the effort. That's all you hear around my house. Effort. And not only for Rico, all our kids. The effort you put in is what you want to get.
Your daughter just graduated.
Yeah.
Her effort's done.
No, it's not. No, it's never done.
She's way too young for her effort to be done.
Her effort's done.
It's never done. It's never. And we are a family of sports.
We grown and old and got businesses and our effort doesn't end.
The effort. No.
My effort's done.
No, it's not.
You got a son going to high school.
You know why? Because they out your house.
No, he got a kid going to high school. He just starting.
Yeah, you got a brand. You starting fresh.
Yeah.
But the other ones, the ones that are her age, my daughter's age, are out your house. No, you got to keep putting forth
They'll find their way.
Get to the level.
They always find their way back. They'll find their way back. My 21-year-old.
This generation is a different breed.
You look at my 21-year-old. He's not technically out of my house. He's not in my house, but he's with his mom now overseas in Italy, mind you.
Okay.
So he's still in someone's house.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's not.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. They still got to
put that's still young though.
Yeah. Like Monty, she's young.
I do like the fact that he is being afforded the opportunity to kind of like see the world and kind of find himself.
Mm-hmm. Right. Mm-hmm.
I think that was one of the things that my road, like I said, my road travel was a lot different than others, and I think that kind of shaped who I am because I was an 18, 19-year-old kid overseas. Like I wasn't in a school setting, and I don't know college. Like I said, if I could do it again, I probably would have went to school instead. But for me, like I needed to grow up a lot, and me being on my own, like I'm not in school to where my parents can send me, come up there and save me, or I'm in this class. Like no, I'm working, and then also I want to play, and I'm going up against grown men that are this is their livelihood. So it kind of grew me up. For him, like he's going through the same thing. He's not an athlete, but like the things that he wants to do in the field he wants to be in, like he's competing with professionals in an overseas environment. So it's really growing him up.
And see, that's the flip side to me. I'm pro public because of the disadvantages and the advantages, but I also think that all kids should be able to interact in a diverse environment. So with your son that's overseas, and then with my daughter went to a very diverse college. So I just think, and I never told my kids color. Like Rico, it wasn't until he really hit elementary, not even maybe like 6th grade, where he was able to start to identify, not just because it was coming to him, it was so prevalent in the school, but Rico we asked him, his teacher, and he was like, she's vanilla. He didn't know the difference. He had no clue, but I did the same thing with Monty. And that just shows you how society is really based on color, because when you don't teach your kids color, but then when they start coming home and you didn't teach it in your house and they're experiencing it at school, you don't have a choice but to then explain it all to them. Yeah. So, but I think when the diversity, even with Marvin, he's in a diverse environment. Rico's in a diverse environment. Your kids in a diverse environment. They get the overall.
Yeah,
From
all my
that's
kids.
the real world.
It is. It is.
We pulled up to the school and there was a little girl with a tutu, some rain boots, and her uniform shirt.
Because that's what she wanted to wear.
But that's what the school said. The school, only thing you have to do is have a uniform shirt.
Okay.
Everything else is you. They want you to be your own individual.
They express themselves.
And that's how she said, I'm a dancer, and it was supposed to rain today. And that's how she felt.
I know that's right.
But it just made me realize, you know, like, she's developing her own individual identity.
Yeah.
Like, it's nothing wrong with that.
It's nothing wrong. And that's the downside to most of the public. They don't allow them to do that. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like, I mean, I hate to say it, but some of these public schools, depending on the principal, it's like a prison. You know, they hardly ever get, even when I was growing up, you know, I was in public school, but my cousins went to private school, and they at least got dressed down Fridays and stuff. Now they in public school, and they don't even get dressed down. Nothing. Nothing.
Uniforms all year.
They don't even want them to wear their Jordans or nothing in school because this is crazy.
Well, yeah, we know why.
But
why they don't want
it's
them
still
to do
like,
that.
Yeah, I think most public schools
bit.
now have a money restriction. A lot of them have a money restriction on the amount of money you
can't
cash
cost but so much money.
See,
that's necessary in the society that we live in, though.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
So,
I mean, the year after? 2 years after? Can't remember. It might have been 2 years after. Never forget, kid got shot at my school for his Eddie Bow. So when she say that's the society, you talking, I was 20.
That's been happening for years.
That's been happening for years. That was when I was in school.
So,
so
imagine now.
I know, it's terrible. If we could just stop the violence, but
it was a craze on the phone.
A lot of these kids are being raised by the media, entertainment industry, and that's what they don't know, the difference between entertainment and real life situation. They on TV and these videos with these guns and all this stuff, but that's entertainment. Not that I say it's right, because I don't think it's right, because to me as an entertainer, you are a role model at this point, and I think you know that you're a role model. So
I think they don't want to assume that identity, though. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I'm in front of all these people, but I don't want to be your child's role model. I think many of them have actually said that. Like, I'm not your child's role model, but you're in front of their face 24/7, 365.
Right. Like, Rico and his friends, they get in my car, they hate if I'm going to listen to their music. Oh, I'm going to break it all the way down. I'm like, you know what he's talking about? He said he has 2 phones. Do you know what the other phone is for?
My kids always say, that's not what they're talking about. Yes, it is. That's what they're talking about.
They don't have a clue.
They don't have a clue. Like, you're singing this stuff. Do you know what they're saying?
They don't.
And you're
they agree to it, but it's like you have to. To me, as a parent that rides in the car and listens to this stuff, I be like, no, let me break this down, because I know y'all don't have a clue
they
what
don't
y'all
have a clue what they're listening
about.
to and what they're
They
repeating.
don't. They don't.
Yeah, no, they're oblivious to what's going on out here. It's just a society that you're in.
Yep.
Well, Harrell, thank you.
Appreciate your time.
It was a pleasure. I didn't know what to expect, but
you thought we was gonna go at you.
Yeah,
I mean,
thought that. You thought that.
Tell
the truth.
I honestly, I had no like.
Hey y'all, he came in this joint quiet as a mug.
That's my sinuses.